AITA for refusing to have my SIL service dog at my wedding. I once put an AITA long ago, and it was super helpful, so maybe this will be helpful again. I'm getting married in 5 months with my fiancé, and we sent our invitations last week. Context: my SIL, my husband's brother's wife, as a medical dog since she had brain cancer around 5 years ago. She has seizures where she feels dizzy 20 seconds beforehand and then goes unconscious for a couple minutes. This happens 3 to 4 times a week. She has a dog who senses the seizure 1 to 2 minutes beforehand, and it gives her the time to lay down in a safe place and warn people that a seizure is coming. The dog, Labrador, is an angel, but SIL not so much. She is not a good person. She claims wrong facts about my fiancé and I's respective fields, med and biology environment, and screams at us when we politely call her out. We don't like her, but we are civil because my BIL loves her. My own sister, on the other hand, is my favorite person on earth. She is my MOH. She is very allergic to dogs. If she's in the same room, her eyes get red and very itchy. She sneezes constantly and she has a little asthma attack. Antihistaminic don't work on her. She isn't an entitled person. Prefer to sacrifice herself than to penalize the person with the service dog. But if in the same closed room with a dog for 5 hours, she will obviously have a strong asthma attack. Me and my fiancé want my MOH to be comfortable in our wedding. And it's shallow, but I want her to feel pretty in the pictures and not to have swollen red eyes. And we want our SAL to be safe, but we thought that with her husband always around her, she will have someone to lean on. We even proposed to bring a +1 to be there for her at all instants. And the venue is a 50-person's room, so it's not possible to have them separated enough, and no backyard wedding in winter. We wanted to announce those proposition face-to-face, but SIL canceled our lunch together last minute, and the invites needed to be sent, so we wrote her on Messenger all our points and propositions. And we thought it was a good idea because it gave her the time to think and not feel pressured to answer our invites at the immediate moment, compared to a phone call or face-to-face. She called me and screamed that I was ableist and an a-hole for suggesting to remove her from her medical help, and that I want her to create a scene at our wedding and get a concussion from falling. BIL just said, what she says goes, and we don't know what he thinks. Mael is furious and start to say she won't come to the wedding if SEL can't bring her dog. I know I'm biased because I obviously prefer my sister, and because I myself have food allergies and believe allergies should be accommodated in my wedding. What should I do? AITA. Is it a a-hole move of me to suggest that? Edit. After reading some comments, I should adjust one thing. No outdoor wedding was possible. The time is in the winter because Mill, Bill, and Sil and others' cousins travel in the USA for 3 months. So the time is only because we wanted my fiancé's family to be present. The place was chosen because it is wheelchair accessible and we have 2 persons that needs wheelchair. My grandma, my fiancé's aunt. So sadly, no, it was not possible to have big spaces outside. The place we chose was our only option in our city, and even there we went over budget. And the place needs to be in our city, and this year if I wanted my grandma to be present because of her medical treatments. NAH. In disability justice, we talk about how some accessibility needs are incompatible with others. Some people are in wheelchairs and can't use the stairs. Some cane users find slopes are dangerous and can't use ramps. Some people are autistic and can't be around loud sounds. Some people are hard of hearing and need sounds to be loud in order to hear them. And yeah, some people have debilitating dog allergies and other people have service dogs. There are some cases where you just can't compromise and you have to make choices knowing that someone is going to get the raw end. You physically cannot have both your sister and SEL in the same place. This isn't something you decided. Nature and genetics and the nature of time and space have created this situation. You have to side with somebody. You just have to. Both is not an option here. And you've decided to side with the person who has been nice and supportive to you instead of the one who belittles you. That's incredibly understandable. You just didn't frame it in a way they would listen to, because someone who would belittle you for your job is going to belittle you for every other decision you make, so they're deflecting it onto you being a jerk. But also, where is your future spouse in all of this? Who do they want at the wedding when they face the fact that both is not an option? NTA. These are 2 real medical needs. You cannot separate CL from the dog, a true support animal, but CL is not essential to the wedding. Your MOH, who cannot be around dogs, is. You're not ableist, but SIL is, if she cannot see your MOH, also has medical issues and can't be excluded from the wedding. Next story, AITA for paying off my daughter's student loans but not giving the same amount to her brother who didn't go to university. My husband passed away unexpectedly in early 2024 from a heart attack. I received a life insurance payout and have been managing it carefully. Recently, I used a portion, around 60K, to pay off my daughter's student loans. Now my son is upset, saying I'm playing favorites because I did not give him the same amount of money as his sister. Back in 2005, my daughter was 18, very bright, but dealing with depression and unsure what to do after school. I pressured her hard to go to university because I thought it was the best path for her. She wasn't ready but went anyway to please her father and I. She ended up doing history because it was the most tolerable thing to her, and she just wanted to get a degree to get us off her back. That degree didn't lead anywhere. She worked low-paying jobs for years and accumulated significant debt as her loan value increased due to indexation, similar to interest. At 30, frustrated with her employment prospects, she went back to university and got a law degree. In our country, law can be done as an undergrad. She now has a good job in that field, but her debt was basically double because of the degree she only did because I pressured her. I've always felt some guilt over that, and now that I'm in a position to help, I chose to pay off her loans. Edit, because I forgot to mention this. She was in the first few years of her law job paying back more than the minimum than she has to in an attempt to pay them down faster, so was trying to help herself. Her younger brother never went to university. He's not academic, has never been very smart, always hated school and dropped out at 15, and I never pushed him the way I did her. He's been working as a postal delivery worker for years and has no student. When he found out I paid off her loans because I accidentally sent him a text message meant for her, he demanded the same amount in cash. I told him that I've done this specifically because it's an educational expense. Giving him cash will feel to my daughter like a punishment all over again. Her brother gets fun money, and all she gets is the degree I pressured her to do paid off. And honestly, I don't think a lump sum would be good for him. He doesn't manage money well and tends to spend impulsively. AITA for saying no, given that I did this to correct what I feel was a mistake, pushing my daughter into university before she was ready. Tell him you're happy to set aside the same amount for educational expenses for him. He can choose to use it or not. NTA. NTA, tell him you will happily pay for college if he is interested. Next story. AITA for wanting to be a princess too. I, 18F, was invited to go to a Renaissance fair with a couple of my friends. It would be me and two other couples. Before asking me, they made sure I wouldn't mind being the fifth wheel, which I don't. A few days after the couple that invited me, 18F and 18M, asked what I was thinking for my costume, I replied that I wanted to be a princess with a hennin. My friend replied that she was going to be the same thing, wearing a green dress. I said that I also wanted to be wearing green, but would settle for blue since she had already decided. But they were both pretty against me being a princess, even if wearing a different color. Their reason being that because it was couple's costume for them, knight and princess, it would be weird if I also a princess. They also added that people wouldn't be able to tell who was the couple between us. I feel like it's not that serious. We suggested other costumes. I suggested being her lady-in-waiting, but she was very against that, and they suggested I be a court jester or wizard, but I would really like to wear a dress, something girly. By the end of the conversation, it seemed like everyone was getting a little frustrated, and my friend told me I could wear whatever I want and that it was my choice. But I'm not sure if she would still prefer me not to be a princess be upset, but me doing so. So Wibta if I wore a distinct princess costume as well? NTA. Arguing who gets to play the princess shouldn't be a thing after the age of 6, kind of telling that she seems insecure who's going to be perceived as being with her boyfriend or not. Does she usually have jealous behaviors with you? NTA. It's a Renaissance fair. It's going to be full of knights, princesses, wizards, and jesters. Your friend's objections to your dress are as laughable as they are ridiculous. Next story. AITA for refusing to play nice with my parents, 46M, 45F, after they replaced me, 24F. My wife and I, both 24F, moved several states away from our families 3 years ago. Since then, we've only visited them for the holidays. I've pretty much always had a passive relationship with my dad, 46M, especially after my stepmom, 45F, and stepsister, 16F, were brought into the family. I've tried to strike up text conversations with them every now and then, but it never seems like they care much. They started flat out ignoring me after I told them about some changes in my life that they're not too happy with. During our visit last Christmas, my wife and I were supposed to stay the night at my dad's house before leaving to visit my wife's family. I didn't know until we got there that my stepmom's nephew, 18M, was staying in my old bedroom. It turns out he was having some issues at home and asked to stay with my family for a few days. A few days turned into a few months, and he had been living there rent-free since. All of my pictures on the fridge had been replaced with pictures of him. During Christmas dinner, my parents talked on and on about how excited they were to visit him at college to watch him play football. Now he's moved to a university that's about the same distance from my parents' house as my apartment is, about 800 miles, and they haven't visited me once since I moved here 3 years ago. I couldn't care less about having a relationship with my parents moving forward, but my grandmother, 67F, wants me to make amends with them for the sake of keeping the peace. I'm closer to my grandmother than almost anyone else in my family, so her feelings are important to me. I explained to her that I tried for months to talk with my parents, but they never answered and they left all my messages on read. She's upset with their behaviors, but she wants me to be responsible for changing things. Unfortunately, I like to be the one holding the matches when a bridge is burned. AITA for going against my grandmother's wishes and standing my ground on this. Maintain your relationship with your grandmother, who is actually interested in engaging with you. Don't bother with the people who don't answer when you reach out. NTA. Homophobia. Either way, NTA. Grandma needs to grow up. At 67, she should know better. Next story. AITA for telling my chronically late friend the wrong time so they would show up on time. And then they actually got there early. I have a chronically late friend who shows up 45 minutes late to everything, 90% of the time. Usually she'll send a text that she'll be late, but she sends it when she should already be there a few minutes before the agreed time, and it's so annoying. Things have improved a bit when a few months ago I told her that for a recent hangout we had, if I hadn't reminded them, pushed back the time, I would have shown up on time and would have been waiting for them, and those kind of things are annoying. Could she text when she'll know she'll be leaving the house so I can arrive the same time as her? She's been doing that, which has been helpful, but it doesn't change the fact that she still has to show up late than the time we agreed to, which sometimes forces me to push back my other plans. So I decided to test some advice I've seen people often recommend online for late people. Tell them an earlier time. I hosted a gathering at my place last week and told my friend to come at 7 and told everyone else separately to come at 8. My friend actually got there at 7 for the first time ever. When she asked where was everyone, I said, well, you usually come late to things, so I thought I'd try to tell you an earlier time so you could get here on time. My friend then told me she had other she could have done if I hadn't told her the wrong time and was noticeably pissed with me the rest of the night. I later got a text from her that she's bothered with what I did and found my actions passive, aggressive, and childish. I feel like common advice of how to handle late friends completely blew up in my face. AITA, NTA. Good. Now you see how the rest of us feel? My friend then told me she had other she could have done if I hadn't told her the wrong time. And what did she say when you told her that is effectively the identical situation she puts you in every time you arrive on time and she's 45 minutes late, and that she's now upset only after being in that situation once? Actually, this is still a better situation than she puts you in. At least when it happened to her, you were already there, so she did not have to wait alone. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure, like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.